In The Spread of the Nuclear Weapons, a debate, Kenneth Waltz makes the unsettling argument that the spread of the nuclear weapons can sometimes increase stability rather than destroy it. His claim is not that nuclear weapons are moral, humane, or desirable. It is that when states know war could bring catastrophic retaliation, they often become more cautious. In a world shaped by coercion, invasion, and preventive strikes, Waltz's argument can appear less like an abstract theory and more like strategic reality. Waltz's logic is straightforward. Nuclear weapons can make major war self-defeating. Deterrence does not require equal arsenals, it requires survivable retaliation and credible resolve. If leaders believe escalation could erase their state or regime, they are more likely to restrain their aims and avoid direct conquest. This is the strongest part of Waltz's case. Fear can impose discipline where treaties, guarantees, and diplomatic language often fail. Waltz-Sagan, however, offers the most serious challenge to that optimism. Sagan argues that organizations are not perfectly rational, military institutions can be flawed, accidents happen, command systems can break down, and leaders can misread signals under pressure. New nuclear states can have weaker safeguards, less secure control over arsenals, or civil military tensions that make deterrence less stable than theorists assume. In Sagan's view, the problem is not only deliberate war, but also inadvertent disaster. Ukraine is often cited as the clearest modern example in Waltz's favor. Russia's full-scale invasion began on February 24, 2022, against a state that had once inherited Soviet nuclear weapons but relinquished them, joined the NPT as a non-nuclear weapons state, and accepted the assurances of the 1994 Budapest Memorandum. Ukraine's non-nuclear status does not ensure safety. Russia could calculate that escalation would remain conventional and that outside powers would limit involvement because of the risks of clashing with a nuclear state. This is why John Mearsheimer's early 1990s argument that a Ukrainian nuclear deterrent might have prevented major Russian aggression now seems harder to dismiss. His reasoning was simple. Moscow would likely be less willing to launch a large-scale attack if it feared catastrophic retaliation. From a Waltzian perspective, Ukraine illustrates the danger of vulnerability in an anarchic system where written assurances do not automatically translate into protection. Yet, Sagan's lens complicates that conclusion. A world with more nuclear-armed states may deter some invasions, but it may also multiply the number of governments, militaries, and command chains that could fail under stress. More arsenals mean more chances for theft, unauthorized use, false alarms, technical malfunctions, brinkmanship, and dangerous escalation during crisis. Stability at one level may create instability at another. The same debate appears in February 28, 2026 strikes on Iran, when the United States and Israel launched attacks beginning Operation Epic Fury alongside Israel's parallel campaign. Supporters of Waltz's logic argue that the operation itself proves the point. States are most tempted to strike before an adversary acquires a credible deterrent. Preventive war becomes attractive when the target remains vulnerable. Once that vulnerability disappears, coercion becomes far riskier. But Sagan's warning cuts the other way as well. If Iran had crossed the threshold and built a deliverable nuclear deterrent, the region might not automatically have become stable. A newly nuclear Middle East could have introduced opaque command structures, shorter decision windows, proxy conflict under a nuclear shadow, and intense pressure for preempting during any crisis. What Waltz sees as stabilizing fear, Sagan sees as a setting ripe for miscalculation. There's also a deeper policy problem here. Waltz directs attention to the behavior of the states facing hard power realities, while Sagan directs attention to the reliability of the organizations that must actually control nuclear weapons day to day. One perspective explains why vulnerable states may seek deterrence, the other explains why outsiders fear that very outcome. Taken together, they show why non-proliferation debates are so difficult. Security guarantees can fail, but so can command systems. Strategic logic may be coldly persuasive, yet optional reality may still be dangerously messy. These cases expose both the power and the limits of the non-proliferation order. Treaty membership, legal assurances, and declared restraint have not reliably protected vulnerable states from coercion or war. At the same time, simply spreading nuclear weapons does not eliminate danger. it may redistribute it into new forms. This is why the Waltz-Sagan debate remains unresolved. Waltz forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Credible deterrence can make aggression irrational. Sagan forces us to confront an equally uncomfortable truth. The systems managing such weapons are built by fallible humans and institutions.